Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived two brothers, Adewale and Babatunde. They were known far and wide for their mischievous antics and their boundless energy. Their parents, hardworking farmers, often left them to tend to the home while they toiled in the field under the scorching sun. One bright morning, as the golden rays of the sun danced upon the lush greenery, Adewale and Babatunde's parents gathered them around before setting out for the day's work in the farm. "Listen carefully, my sons," their father began, his voice grave yet gentle. "Today, you must cook the yam we harvested yesterday. But remember this, cook the yam before the snail. For if the snail puts out the fire, you cannot light it again from anywhere else except the spirit kingdom. And you boys are too young to journey to the spirit kingdom to get fire." Then their parents left for the faraway farm. They usually stayed in the farm until sundown. While they were playing, the day wore on and the sun reached its zenith in the cloudless sky. Hunger gnawed at their stomachs. Adewale, unable to bear the hunger any longer, declared impatiently, "I cannot wait any longer, Babatunde. Let us cook the snail first, then the yam. Surely the fire will not be out." Babatunde's eyes widened in alarm, for he knew the consequences of disobeying their parents' instructions. Yet, fearing his brother's wrath and unable to sway him from his foolish decision, he reluctantly agreed. Little did they know their impulsive action would set into motion a chain of events that would forever alter the course of their lives. With trembling hands, Adewale placed the snail over the crackling flames, his mouth watering in anticipation of the savory meal that awaited them. After about a few seconds, the snail's shell made contact with the fire. It sputtered and died, leaving them very famished and stranded. The brothers stared at the smoldering embers in disbelief, their stomachs growling in protest. Panic gripped their hearts as they realized the gravity of their folly. With no fire to cook their food, the thundering hunger in their stomachs, and darkness fast approaching, they knew they had no choice but to embark on a perilous journey to the spirit kingdom in search of fire. And so, with heavy hearts and determination burning bright within them, Adewale and Babatunde set out into the unknown, unaware of the challenges that lay ahead and the secrets that awaited them in the mystical realm beyond. Adewale and Babatunde ventured forth into the unknown, their footsteps echoing through the dense foliage as they pressed onwards towards the elusive spirit kingdom. As they crossed the threshold into the ethereal kingdom, they were greeted by an otherworldly sight that left them awestruck. The spirit kingdom was a realm of wonders where shimmering lights danced amidst the swirling mists, and strange creatures roamed freely beneath the canopy of the enchanted trees. But amidst the beauty and wonder, danger lurked in the shadows, ready to ensnare the unwary traveler in its treacherous grasps. And so it was that Adewale and Babatunde found themselves face to face with a mysterious spirit, its form enshrouded in mist and its eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. "Welcome, weary travelers," the spirit said, its voice echoing through the stillness of the forest. "You have journeyed far to seek refuge in my kingdom. Rest now and partake of the bounty that I offer." With a wave of its hand, the spirit conjured forth a sumptuous feast, laid out upon a table of shimmering silver. The aroma of exotic delicacies filled the air, tempting the senses and stirring the hunger within them. Adewale's eyes widened in delight as the sight of the lavish spread before him. his mouth watering at the thought of indulging in such a feast. But Babatunde, ever the cautious one, cast a wary glance at the feast laid out before them, sensing danger lurking beneath its enticing facade. He knew all too well the perils that awaited those who succumbed to the temptation of the spirit realm, and he dared not partake of the offerings before him. With a cunning glint in his eye, Babatunde feigned satisfaction, pretending to partake of the feast alongside his brother while secretly abstaining from eating the feast. Meanwhile, Adewale, blinded by his gluttonous desires, greedily devoured the delicacies laid out before him, oblivious to the danger that lurked in the shadows. As the feast drew to a close and the brothers departed the spirit abode, after treading a few paths as they were going, not far from the spirit's abode, the spirit returned from the inner section of its abode, its gaze falling upon the empty plates before it. With a sinister smile playing upon his lips, the spirit raised its flute to its lips and blew a haunting melody that sent shivers down their spines. My flute, the spirit sang, its voice echoing through the clearing like a dirge. Kill for me those children that ate the spirit's yam, ate the spirit's rice, ate the spirit's cocoyam, and drank the spirit's water. In an instant, Adewale's eyes widened in horror as a sudden pain seized his chest. His breath caught in his throat as he collapsed to the ground, lifeless and still. Babatunde, watching from the safety of the shadows, held his breath as he witnessed the tragic fate that befell his brother, his heart heavy with grief and remorse. But even as tears welled in his eyes and sorrow threatened to overwhelm him, Babatunde knew that he must stay strong and vigilant if he were to survive the perils of the spirit kingdom. And so, with a heavy heart and determination burning bright within him, he resolved to press onwards, guided by the memory of his fallen brother and the wisdom imparted by their parents' teachings. The spirit approached where Adewale lay still and remembered he had forgotten to bring the vessel with which to carry the body. As the spirit went back to retrieve the vessel in which to carry Adewale's lifeless body, Babatunde's mind raced with desperate thoughts, seeking a way to defile the cruel fate that had befallen his elder brother. And then, in a moment of clarity, his gaze fell upon the flute that lay abandoned upon the forest floor, its haunting melody still lingering in the air. With a surge of determination coursing through his veins, Babatunde seized the flute in his trembling hands, his heart pounding in his chest as he prepared to confront the spirit with its own weapon. Drawing a deep breath, skeptical about what he was about to do, he raised the flute to his lips and blew a defiant melody that rang out through the clearing like a clarion call. My flute, Babatunde sang, his voice ringing clear and true. Restore to me the child that ate the spirit's yam, ate the spirit's rice, ate the spirit's cocoyam, and drank the spirit's water. As the final note of his song faded away, a miraculous sight unfolded before Babatunde's disbelieving eye. Adewale stared upon the ground, his eyelids fluttering open as the breath of life returned to his lungs. With a gasp of astonishment, he sat up, his gaze locking with his brother's in a silent exchange of gratitude and relief. Babatunde held onto the flute. With newfound strength coursing through their weary limbs, the brothers wasted no time in fleeing from the treacherous depths of the spirit kingdom, their footsteps quickening as they raced through the enchanted forest in search of escape. Babatunde led the way, his senses sharp and his resolve unyielding as he guided them towards the safety of the mortal realm. But even as they fled, a sense of unease lingered in the air, a lingering reminder of the dangers that lurked in the shadows and the perils that awaited those who dared to trespass upon the sacred ground of the spirit kingdom. And so, with each passing moment, their hearts beat with a rhythm of fear and anticipation, driving them ever onward towards the promise of salvation that awaited them beyond the spirit kingdom. In the distance, the spirit had come back and sighted them from a distance as they were trying to escape. Babatunde, seemingly concerned, slowed his pace, casting a worried glance over his shoulder at his brother's faltering form. "Hold on, Adewale," he called out, his voice filled with urgency. "We are almost there. Stay with me, brother, and together we shall escape this accursed place." With the spirits hot on their heels, Adewale and Babatunde sprinted faster towards the boundary that separated the mortal realm from the spirit world, their hearts pounding in their chests as they raced against time and fate itself. The boundary loomed before them, shimmering like a beacon of hope amidst the darkness that threatened to engulf them. Babatunde's legs burned with exhaustion as he pushed himself forward, his gaze fixed unwaveringly upon the distant light that beckoned them forth with its promise of salvation. Behind him, Adewale struggled to keep pace, his breath showing how exhausted he had become. But even as they neared the boundary, the spirit closed in upon them with terrifying speed, its presence casting a shadow over their hopes of escape. With a surge of desperation, Babatunde redoubled his efforts, his mind racing with frantic thoughts as he sought a way to outpace their pursuer and reach the safety of the mortal realm. As they reached the boundary between the two worlds, Babatunde leaped forward with all his might, crossing over into the human kingdom, with a sense of relief and triumph flooding through his veins. But behind him, Adewale faltered, his strength waning as the spirit reached out to grasp him with clawed hands. With a cry of anguish, Babatunde watched helplessly as the spirit's nails scraped against the middle of his brother's back from the neck down, leaving behind a deep, jagged line that marred his flesh with a mark of remembrance. And then, with a final burst of determination, Adewale pushed himself forward, crossing over into the human kingdom just as the spirit's grasp closed upon empty air. With clear frustration, the spirit moved back to its spirit kingdom with rage as it realized that its prey had slipped through its fingers. But as it reached out to pursue them further, an invisible barrier barred its path, preventing it from crossing over into the realm of mortals. And so, with their escape secured and the spirit vanquished behind them, Adewale and Babatunde emerged into the human world, their hearts heavy with the weight of their ordeal, yet buoyed by the knowledge that they had triumphed over adversity and emerged victorious against all odds. As they gazed upon the vast expanse of the mortal kingdom that stretched out before them, Babatunde's eyes fell upon the mark that marred his brother's back, a reminder of the sacrifice and the bravery that had brought them to this moment. And though the line that ran from Adewale's neck down to his spine would forever serve as a testament to their harrowing journey, it also served as a reminder of the bond that bound them together as brothers, stronger and more resilient than any obstacle they might face. From that day onwards, every child born bore that mark in the middle of their backs.